All right, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you are today. My name is Kevin Joels. I'm the EMS Section Chair for the International Association of Fire Chiefs, and we are happy to bring to you 911 initiated AED response brought to you by PulsePoint today on September 19th. Before we begin, audio is being broadcasted using voice over IP technology through your computer speakers or headset. Please make sure your speakers or headset are turned on and the volume is turned up. Audience microphones have been muted to make sure we don't have any unnecessary background noise. If you experience technical difficulties, please contact IAFC support at webinars@iafc.org or via the chat function that's on your screen. In the upper right corner of your screen, you'll find the chat and QA. If you want to send us some notes or questions throughout the content, we'll answer those at the end. A reminder that the slide deck will be made available at the end of the presentation for your review. And if the presenters have provided materials other than the documents already attached, you'll find those in the handout section as well. A reminder at some upcoming IFC-sponsored events, November 14th through the 17th, VCOS Symposium in the Sun, which is in Clearwater, Florida. Perfect time of year for that. December 4th through the 6th is the Technology Summit International, or TSI, in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, December 4th through the 6th. And then May 13th through the 15th, Community Risk Reduction Leadership Conference, CRRL, which will be in Glendale, Arizona. Again, we want to thank PulsePoint for sponsoring today and then obviously presenting as well. We've had since day one collaboration and partnership with PulsePoint and the IFC. We appreciate them being with us today. And with that, I will let Richard Price, the president of PulsePoint, introduce himself. But again, Richard, thanks for having. Great to have you here, and thanks for being a part of today's webinar.
Thank you very much, Kevin, and thanks everybody who's joined today and taken a little time out of their day. Definitely going to try to present to you something that'll be valuable and useful for the time that you're investing. Again, I'm Richard Price. I'm the president of the PulsePoint Foundation. I had a career in the fire service and finished my career as a fire chief in Northern California. I worked for a few departments in Northern California, but now run the foundation on a day-to-day basis. So most of you know that at PulsePoint, probably in regards to our Respond application. So it's what we're probably best known for. PulsePoint is a 501c3 nonprofit foundation, and we have a responder platform that can notify CPR-trained individuals and people with AEDs of nearby cardiac arrests. And we do that with our Respond application. But today we're focusing on what we spend, the other half of our time on, and that's the emergency AED registry. So this registry is designed specifically for mobilizing AEDs during actual emergencies. So I want to jump right into the first thing that we're trying to accomplish with this registry, and that is making sure that dispatchers know where AEDs are during cardiac arrest call processing. So a simple scenario here. Caller to 911, you ask your call taker, ask what their emergency. My friend just collapsed. We're at the Black Hawk Museum. You ask the caller, is your friend conscious? No. Is she breathing normally? No. And then the question typically is there an AED available? Is there an AED nearby? And the caller says, I don't know. And if the caller doesn't know, and the dispatcher doesn't know, it's the reason why AEDs, one of the reasons why AEDs are deployed at such low rates today. So it turns out at the museum, there are 2 AEDs available, but without the visitor to that museum or the dispatcher knowing that they're there, they're not recommended. So it's important, and I want to just cover a few of the numbers of why it's so important. So in the US alone, more than 350,000 cardiac arrests occur each year. Globally, that number is much, much higher. Survival rates less than 10%. Even though we've been placing AEDs, teaching CPR in our communities for more than 30 years, these survival rates have hung out right around 10%. Now that varies from agency to agency, but these numbers nationally are quite low. And the focus today is on getting AEDs deployed. So CARES registry reporting, only less than 12% of patients who experience cardiac arrest are getting an AED by bystanders. Yet we know that if that victim receives CPR and an AED by a bystander, cardiac arrest survival rates are 50%. So it's a significant difference if we can get CPR started and get an AED deployed. So it's pretty typical today, certainly best practice, for telecommunicators to give CPR instructions, TCPR. And what we're advocating for is that dispatchers also give nearby AED locations, TAED, and that technology is readily available today. It's available at no cost to dispatch centers. And I just want to give you a few examples of how that's done. So we have AEDs throughout our community. So this is San Diego, California. We see 2,300 AEDs in that community, and we've done a good job of placing AEDs. It's just putting them into motion during a cardiac arrest is what we need to do. We've learned that just having AEDs there is not enough. We have to take more affirmative action to get those AEDs pushed into service. I'm going to use ProQA as my first example. So it's a very common pre-arrival instruction software package. Many agencies use it, but I'm going to talk about others as well. I'm just going to use this as an example. One of the things that our foundation is doing to make it easier for telecommunicators to recommend AEDs is to build that technology directly into the products that are used in the dispatch center. So we don't use pulse point products in the dispatch center. You're not looking at a separate screen. You're not moving your eyes away from technology that you're already using. So let me just walk you through ProQA as just one example. This is, Priority Dispatch's product. So you can see here that the caller is reporting somebody who's not breathing, unconscious. This is somebody who likely needs CPR. And you can see the protocol is categorizing this. This is a CARD 9, cardiac arrest. But it also shows something new here, that an AED is found less than 50 feet away. So that's because ProQA is integrated directly with the emergency AED registry and has passed the location of the event to the registry, and the registry has returned nearby AEDs that are near the address of this event. So if you see in the upper right-hand corner here of ProQA, it's found 2 AEDs, and those are shown to the call taker. And you can see over here, this is the dialogue that the protocol is giving to the dispatcher to read back to the caller. And it's these types of protocols that allow dispatchers to deliver babies and stop bleeding and give CPR instructions. It's because they follow these protocols. So this dialogue here that you're seeing is pretty critical to be integrated into the workflow. So the dispatcher asks, is there anyone else right there with you? Because the dispatcher is trying to determine if there's somebody that can be sent to get this AED. And the caller answers yes. So now the protocol sees there's multiple rescuers. So with that, the dispatcher says, okay, there is a defibrillator located at the museum. Put your phone on speaker so I can tell the other person right where it is. Then I'll tell you exactly how to do chest compressions. So somebody is there to retrieve the AED. And now this is the message that's read. Now that the phone is on speaker, listen carefully. There is a defibrillator, an AED, located in the main salon to the right of the entrance doors. Run and get it now and tell the person with the phone when you're back. So you can kind of see how that protocol works and how the integration works. So ProQA was used as the example. But this integration is available with all leading pre-arrival emergency medical dispatch softwares like APCO and Telecom, Total Response by PowerPhone, other products that are tactical maps like Rapid Deploy. And these software packages are really equipping call takers with AED locations. And, we know that telecommunicators are this critical link in the chain of survival, especially the triage that they're doing to determine that it is a cardiac arrest, which puts other things in motion like the AED registry, like CPR instructions. But again, doing this within their familiar applications, within their normal workflows. Now, this is automatic. It just happens. If you use ProQA and it's connected to the registry, you've just done that simple setup. And you have AEDs that are in the emergency AED registry, these recommendations will happen. If there's no AED nearby, the protocol will just ask the question, is there an AED available? So the protocol adapts based on what the situation is and if AED locations are known. So one of the things I wanted to mention is PulsePoint is working to consolidate registries, and most of this work is actually completed now. And one of the latest things that we're announcing is that Zoll has donated the National AED Registry, a product of theirs, to the Emergency AED Registry. So the Emergency AED Registry is hosted by PulsePoint, and PulsePoint and now Zoll are advocates for a single universally accessible AED registry. This is a registry that's really optimized for 911 use. So when you hear registry, when you hear AED registry, registries are used for a lot of things. There's regulatory, legislated type registries. There's maintenance or program management type registries. This is a very specialized registry that is really for use by 911 to put AEDs in motion, to put responders in motion that are during emergencies. This particular announcement, I may just jump over and show you that announcement, just in case you wanted to read more about it. You might be a user of this registry, and you can get more information about it on the PulsePoint website. So if you just go to the news section, it's the first story there, and you can read sort of all about it and how we're moving those AEDs in, and just everything about that particular announcement. So that announcement was just yesterday. So I just stress it in case you're a user of that registry. That registry is probably the largest nationally focused registry other than the emergency AED registry. So although we've been consolidating smaller registries, that's a pretty large one. And the whole idea behind this is all the integration that's done is available to every dispatch center, and they don't have to worry about where they put their AEDs or which registry to use. Just a universal solution that's available at no cost, hosted and run by a nonprofit organization, not an AED manufacturer, for example. This is not just PulsePoint's idea, it's AHA's recommendation. So you can look at their statement here, but they suggest that AEDs are in a registry and that those AEDs are available to dispatchers and mobile apps for use during emergencies. I wanted to kind of show you the back end of how this works. So obviously, for that integration to work and for AEDs to be recommended during an emergency, the registry has to know where the AEDs are located. So the foundation provides a lot of tools, very sophisticated but easy to use tools to help you build and manage your registry. So this is just a browser-based version of the registry. You can see, a grid view of your AEDs. You've got this faceted search along the left side, similar to like you would see in like an Amazon search, where you can, narrow the focus of what you're looking at. In this right-hand corner, you can click to a map view out of the grid view and see where your AEDs are on a map, and zoom into these and see where they're located. You can drill into individual AEDs and have all the records and information about individual AEDs. So this is when you want a big screen, comfortable chair, you can enter them in this fashion. We can also bulk import AEDs. If you have them in a spreadsheet or in another database, they can be bulk uploaded and placed into these. And also note the business hours here. So I'm going to talk about a partnership that we have with Google. So every AED in the registry is tied to a Google record. So we have live information on business hours. We have information about what type of business this is. Is it a school or a church? Things like that are all part of the registry. But that comes through this what's called a place ID. So here it says add the place details. This will go out and match it to the Google record. So that's one of the things that we do so that we know if AEDs are available or not. And we make it simpler to enter the record, which I will show you. So we have an app called PulsePoint AED. Again, this is a free app that you can download. For entering AEDs in the field, this is a very efficient way to do that. So you can see here, it has a map view. Whatever's in the viewport is available in these cards down below, and you can swipe between the cards. You can click that card to open that record. It knows that this AED is, this business is open now because it has that link to the Google business record. When you enter a new AED, we use predictive type. So as you start to type the location that you're entering a new AED, we're looking at what you're typing and where you're standing and give you recommendations. So you can just pick that this is Diablo Vista Middle School. And then all that information will come into the record. Since we're recommending exact locations of AEDs, you position them on a map. Like this school might have multiple AEDs if this is a university campus or a business. So the AEDs can be placed precisely where they're at. So if we send a map to that responder, they can make their way from their location to the AED locations. Some of the systems can actually send a message with a map to the caller. And you can see all this information came over just from that predictive search. So we know the name of the location, its address, its phone number, its business hours, things like that. The only thing on the screen that you need to type in would be a text description of where that AED is located for the dispatcher, for the responder. So it might be, in the gym under the scoreboard. So it's a little bit more than just the pin, but that text description. And there's other things that you can indicate here, that this is a restricted access AED, meaning it's only available to employees. It's not generally available to the public. If it's not in a fixed location, if it's available 24/7. So for example, if it's mounted to the front of City Hall, you don't want to use the business hours of City Hall. So this overrides the hours and does other things if it's available 24/7. You can put manufacturer details if things are in the registry that have been recalled, or there's manufacturer notices or things. We can do that globally on a registry basis. So that's why details are available here. Co-located items, I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but it's not just for AEDs, but anything co-located with the AED. Photographs that help the dispatcher, help the responder find the AED. These are AEDs. These are photos that are in the context of their surroundings. They're not close-up pictures of the AEDs, but context pictures, so they can be located easier. Lots of filters, ways to limit what you're looking at. Down here, you can see if you only wanted to go inspect all the AEDs in schools or something, you can limit your search. And these categories can be entered by you, but they're also automatically entered by your Google Place ID. People in the community can report issues that they see. If there's something wrong with an AED, those exceptions can be reported. That goes to your registry managers inside your organization, and also to the people who are responsible for that AED in that business. And everything is available in the app. So this is a very mobile first design. Although you have the browser, you can also use a mobile device, use a tablet, and have all the functionality. Especially if you're taking pictures and things, the mobile app can be an easier way to enter the records. But if you want to do things like maybe do bulk uploads or download, all your records, or, some things will be easier from a browser as well, but you have those choices. In addition to entering an AED using a browser or an app, we also have tools like AED.new, which is just a simple way to communicate to your community. If you have an AED and you want to upload it to our registry, you can just go to AED.new to add it. You can add forms like this to your agency's website. So people can just come to your website and register right in your website. So there's these other ancillary tools that help you build the registry as well. So I talked about Google being a partner with us for things like business hours and predictive locations. But the other thing we do with Google is businesses have Google accounts. So when you do a search in Google for a business, and you can see, are they busy now? You can see reviews, you can see their business hours, things like that. That's because the businesses have Google accounts. Google business profiles is what they call those. And they communicate via email with the businesses, and they'll say, there's a holiday coming up. Make sure your business hours are accurate for, the 4th of July. So reminders and things. So we use Google to send notifications to businesses requesting that they register their AEDs if they have them. We do this on a national basis. So we work with the agencies to develop strategies to help them find all their AEDs, because that's really what makes a registry valuable, is if it's complete and it's accurate. And building a complete registry is really the hardest part here. The registry is available, it's integrated with your call taking software, but you still have to get your local AEDs into the registry. So I'm going to show you some of the ways we help with that, but this is one of the ways. I talked a little bit about co-located items. So bleeding control kits, very common to be co-located with AEDs. Naloxone is pretty common to be co-located. So we're tracking these items. We're able to put expiration dates and things similar to what you would have on other consumables with an AED. And you can filter your views, look for just AEDs that meet these conditions. Some schools are co-locating epinephrine, also EpiPens with their AEDs. So those can also be tracked within the emergency AED registry. I talked a little bit about 24/7 AEDs. So these are, cabinets, sometimes post-mounted, but 24/7 AEDs. And sometimes these cabinets are locked, and the dispatch centers need to have a place to store the access codes. You can see in that image, it'll say call 911 for access code. So the registry also keeps track of all the access codes and allows you to make those available to the telecommunicators during the call. So something to think about as these 24/7 AEDs gain in popularity, and they certainly are. We have several statewide registries, so this makes it a little bit simpler for you because we're already aware of state rules and just basic contracting. When you want to connect to the emergency AED registry, there's a simple process, but in a state registry, it really streamlines that. This gets you, your credentials, your administrative logins to the registry, so you can manage all the AEDs within your jurisdiction. So I just wanted to give you just a quick overview of, I've touched on most of these items, but the emergency AED registry is really an open infrastructure. And in the upper right-hand corner, you see the APIs. So there's a number of APIs or programmable interfaces into the API. So we work with CAD vendors, we work with the EMD pre-arrival instruction software manufacturers, we work with AED manufacturers, we work with program management companies, large companies that contract for program management, so that when they add AEDs or they inspect AEDs, that information is automatically updated. Many states will, and many jurisdictions will, have requirements for AEDs to be reported to the local jurisdiction, but they'll allow PulsePoint to be that. So, these automated systems can make it much more efficient in reporting new AEDs and maintenance to AEDs. So it's definitely an entire ecosystem designed around the importance of making AEDs available during emergencies. So one of the things I mentioned up front, but I really want to stress that there's not any charge to use the PulsePoint registry. The interfaces are also provided at no cost by Priority Dispatch and PowerPhone and AppCo. So they've kind of bought into this idea that we really want to make this as frictionless as possible for 911 to make AEDs available during the call processing. So I think that's important to note. This is very easy for an agency to deploy. And we have lots and lots of examples of agencies doing this. So if you're not part of already a statewide registry, we're happy to talk to you and just show you the steps that you have to take to do this. But it's not a big lift. We also provide you with a lot of support in building your registry. So I've shown you a few of those strategies. We provide the tools and the partnerships, but also we have ad space that's donated to us. This is a digital ad, and we have sort of national access to these billboard networks where they have donated time to us, where they have ad space available. We have digital ads designed that are actually interfaced to the registry. So they'll show how many AEDs are in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. If you add your AED, the billboard will change. So we have ad agencies that have designed a lot of this material, and you can just deploy it. So billboards are one. A lot of signage. This is an example of airport signage that we've designed that's available to you. Videos on how to use the applications and videos that explain the role of an AED registry in your community that you can use when you're talking to service groups or have on your website. And I highlight pulsepoint.org/resources as a place that you can go and see all these resources and get all these ideas. We have a lot of handout material, and all this material is customized for your agency. So you see this is, Washington, D.C. Fire. It's their logos are on it, or stand-up banners. Here's the LA County logo. You can put these in maybe your municipal buildings or the entrance to a library to help your community locate all its AEDs and get them into the registry. Another thing we do, and I want to highlight this today because it's sort of middle of September here. In October of every year, October is Sudden Cardiac Arrest Awareness Month. So we have a toolkit that has a lot of resources available for you to get the word out in your community. We also run a national AED campaign in October, and we partner with all our agencies to do that. And this is a contest to find AEDs. So everybody who enters an AED, every AED that you enter into the registry, you have a chance to win a $500 Amazon gift card. And the communities that enter the most the community that enters the most AEDs, and this is scaled by size of agency, this year will win 5 Zoll AED 3s. So for the month of October, this contest runs. And so we provide you a lot of tools to advertise this to your community, and then we provide all the prizes and the support. So I wanted to just kind of jump over to the website real quick and show you what that looks like. So if you were to go to pulsepoint.org and it's /AED contest, you'll see this website, and it's got all the rules. It talks about the prizes. It also gives you a lot of resources to use in your community. So just kind of scrolling through some of these example texts for your posts, a lot of social media images that you can use that are all around, these things. Good deeds deserve great prizes, and you can kind of talk about it. We made saving lives more rewarding. So there's a whole campaign that you can use around this. So this is specific to the um, the AED contest. So this is pulsepoint.org/AED contest. But also just around sudden cardiac awareness um, month. I'm going to just show you that as well. So Sudden Cardiac Awareness Month, this gives you a lot of resources that are not related directly to the AED contest, but just messaging around the importance of CPR and AEDs in your community. So a lot of different campaigns that you can run, a lot of resources that we can provide. We provide these items for you at no cost. So these are registered stickers you can put on your AEDs. If you want rig stickers, if you're Pulse Point connected, and just a lot of resources around that month. So part of our partnership with you in this is not just providing you the tools, but providing you all the campaigns and materials that are all just like ready to go for your use. All right, let me just jump back to the presentation. Okay, so wait for that slide to come up here. All right, let's kind of move on. So I've been talking about the app on the right. So if you were to go to the store, go to your app store or Google Play and search Pulse Point, just so there's no confusion. Like I talked about in the beginning, Pulse Point Respond, kind of the red app, the red icon, is the app that we use to notify people who are CPR trained or have AEDs near a cardiac arrest. Pulse Point AED is the registry tool. And so just so there's no confusion. And I will note that these are FirstNet certified applications that allow you to deploy them in your center, with confidence. So FirstNet 911 certification to run these applications, end-to-end certification. If you are using PulsePoint Respond, you can go a little further than just the registry. So I wanted to briefly talk about AED needed alerts. So in addition to recommending AEDs to callers, you can also alert people that have an AED that there's a cardiac arrest nearby. So when you're in the AED app, you can see a section that says AED needed alerts. Now, if you're the responsible party for this AED, you've entered this AED, you're the responsible party, you can simply turn AED alerts on just by clicking that bell and turning it on, and then you'll be notified if your AED is near cardiac arrest. Now, this is only for agencies that have Pulse Point Respond, because that's the application that knows where cardiac arrests are. So we need to know where cardiac arrests are to do this. I'm actually going to just jump over real quick to the Pulse Point Respond stats page, just to kind of show you this. So in the last 24 hours, so this is last 24 hours, we have processed 661 cardiac arrests through the system. We've recommended 1,129 AEDs through various means, through dispatchers, through recommending them through the app. Our community response time, system-wide, 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Yesterday, in the last 24 hours, we notified 566 people who were near a cardiac arrest. So these numbers are large, and it's an important component of being able to take this to the next level, is knowing where cardiac arrests are to be able to alert people who are nearby. I want to jump back to my slides real quick here and kind of continue with this concept of AED needed alerts. So if the AED is yours, it's very simple. You just turn on alerts and you'll be alerted if you're nearby. If it's not your AED, but you have access to it, so it's somebody else in your household or in shared AED environments, which I'll show you briefly. You can also request AED needed alerts. So this is not your AED, but you can request it, and then the person who is the responsible party will get a subscription request, and they can approve it, and then they can also be alerted if that AED is needed in an event. I saw that I had Sumter County on the call, on the registered people for this call. So I'm going to highlight the good work they're doing. So here, this is Sumter County, Florida. You can obviously see this is a residential area. These are just screenshots from the app, but they have close to 400 AEDs that are mounted in residential areas. You can see the pictures of them here. They're pole mounted, they're in the cul-de-sacs, they're in front of houses, and they have hundreds and hundreds of people who have subscribed to these AEDs. Typically 10, 15 people that live right around that AED, they all subscribe to that AED. And if there's a cardiac arrest nearby, they're all alerted. So this is, I think, where things are headed with 24/7 AEDs that are, not locked behind, a business's doors. They're in residential areas. And we're alerting people who can take those AEDs to the scene and arrive much earlier than, the on-duty crews that are coming in to back them up. So I want to show you what an AED alert looks like. So you get an alert on your phone, it says AED is needed. These can arrive as critical alerts, meaning they can override your volume, they can override mute settings on the phone. They make a very distinctive sound when they come in. And then when you open that notification, you see a few things. You see a text description of where the cardiac arrest here. In this case, it's at Arlington Park, and you see the address there. It also shows you a pin on where that victim is reported to be. It shows you the AED that you've subscribed to, or you can use the button at the bottom and see all the AEDs in the area, but by default, it shows you the AED that you've subscribed to. It gives you a what we call a look around or a 360-degree view. On a Google phone, this would be Street View, but you can click on that and have a 360-degree panoramic view of the destination where the cardiac arrest is reported. And the whole idea here is you're nearby, you grab that AED, and you deliver it to the patient. And we're inside that whole ecosystem of the device. So we're going to notify your phone, your watch, your iPad. This is going to work in a Google environment or an Apple environment. It's going to have all the features of notifications, such as respecting focus, critical alerts, time-sensitive alerts. All that's available to you in this ecosystem. As the responsible party, you can also manage this AED. So this doesn't require the agency to be involved or the dispatch center to be involved. It's your AED, you're responsible for it. You can let other people subscribe to it or not. You can send test alerts to these individuals. So I have 3 people, my wife and daughter actually, for this AED in my home. I can say send test alerts, and I can click who I want to send that alert to, so they can hear the sound, see the alert, and basically practice with an alert that doesn't require any interaction with the agency itself to participate in tests. Because a lot of times we've learned that people want to test it, they want to know what it's going to look like, what it's going to sound like. So it alleviates any burden on the agency. So this is what a test. So they would see it, hear it, and be able to tap on it and see that device. So that is my presentation to you today. I know it's a lot of information, fast. There's a few links that I put up here for you. I mean, right now, all those reference resources on the right, the AED contest page and the sudden cardiac arrest month resources page. Um, if you wanted to download the app, you can just take your phone and search aed.app, and it'll take you to your app store to download it. Or you can use that QR code. And I really encourage you to, download the app and just enter one AED. You'll have one AED at least in the registry. And entering an AED is a two-step process. So anyone can enter an AED, but the agency must approve it before it's recommended, by the registry, by the dispatcher. But it's good to just see how simple it is and how sophisticated the application is to be able to add an AED via the app. And if you just want general registry information, you can go to aed.fyi and just get literature on the registry and how to become part of the registry, or use that QR code. Feel free to reach out to me at richard.price@pulsepoint.org or visit the website at pulsepoint.org. We'd love to have your agency participating in the emergency AED registry. The goal here is to have a registry that's widely used and has dispatchers recommending AEDs every day. I mean, we recommended more than 1,100 yesterday, but there's an awful lot more calls reporting people unconscious, unresponsive, that we'd like to have AEDs in the mix on those. So thanks for your time. And I want to introduce Shannon Smith on the call there. Shannon heads our communications group, and she's the one that makes all these resources available. And she's going to handle any questions that we have. So Shannon, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I do have a question from Dave, who coincidentally I received an email, I think from you earlier this morning, so might answer a few more of your questions while we're on the call. But the question is, do 24/7 AED cabinets have heat? And I'm sure, Rich, you might have some other examples. I know some of the folks that we partner with at Safe Station do have temperature controlled 24/7 cabinets that both supply heat and cool depending on the outdoor temperature. But I'm sure there's other examples of those cabinet manufacturers that do help with those extreme temperatures.
Yeah, so definitely.
I don't know if you have anything to add.
I mean, there's a wide variety of cabinets available. And depending on where you're placing them. So Sumter County, the example that I use, that's a Florida agency, in the Villages area. So high temperatures there, heat is a big factor there. But we also work with Safe Station, for example, in Canada, is just one manufacturer where temperatures can be very, very low. So sometimes the cabinets need to be heated, sometimes they need to be cooled. There's various technologies that are involved in those cabinets. So I think that you'll find some that have locking mechanisms, some that don't have locking mechanisms, depending on where you're placing them. So I'd say, yes, there's a lot of sophistication in cabinets. Definitely the trend is to 24/7 cabinets, 24/7, always available AEDs, but you'll find a wide variety of cabinet options out there. I would also say, Sumter is on this call. Sumter is, I think, leading in this area with, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of outdoor cabinets. If you want to reach out to us, we can give you a contact there. They'd be happy to talk to you about that as well. I mean, they're leaders in this area for sure.
Yeah. Another question, does our AED registry work with connected AEDs like a Vive or Heart Hero?
Yeah, so one of the beauties of the approach here is the emergency AED registry is for all makes and all manufacturers. So every AED has slightly different capabilities. In a community, you've got many, many AEDs, probably all brands and manufacturers out there, all different models. So for a single universal registry to be effective, it must include all AEDs. So that's sort of core to our tenet, and we can alert any AED. So because we're alerting the record, so that example that I gave you of AED needed alerts, We can alert any AED regardless of manufacturer or model because we're alerting the existence of the record in the database. So yes, and yes to every other brand.
Excellent. This is actually a question I received this morning, but because I see David on the call today, I'm going to ask it because it's a good one. Does the registry work for mobile AEDs? He actually gave the unique example of having AEDs on their lobster boats. One lobster boat might be closer to another in terms of getting an AED, more quickly than someone on land could get it. So how does that work for mobile AEDs?
Yeah. So again, we have two applications. We have the Respond app and the AED app. So AED needed alerts are based on the location of the AED, not mobile AEDs. So in that case, you don't have to share your location. You just enter the AED in the registry, and we will notify you if there's an AED near that, if there's a cardiac arrest near that AED. So if you have one in your house, you're only going to be notified of, say, cardiac arrest around your home, your neighbors' homes. But on the Respond app knows where you're located. So in that case, we're notifying you of cardiac arrests that are near you. So if you have an AED with you, if you have an AED in your trunk of your car, you carry an AED with you, we're going to notify you that you're near a cardiac arrest. If you have an AED with you, great. So if you're on that lobster boat, we're going to notify you on that lobster boat that there's a nearby AED, and if you have an AED on the lobster boat, you'll be notified. But you'll be notified based on your location. So that's kind of the basic differentiation between an AED needed alert, which knows the location of the AED, and the Respond app, the red app that knows the location of you. And that's the one that you would use in a mobile environment.
Perfect. We have no other questions. The one thing I did want to point out is because you're on that final screen of your presentation, we have those AED registered stickers for AED cabinets. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat. If anyone has, as you're going out and building your registry and you want to label an AED that it has been registered by PulsePoint, those round stickers are available to you for free if you're utilizing that PulsePoint AED registry. And you could just order as many stickers as you want. We have them, ordered in bulk, and I'm happy to send them your way. But I did just post the order form online. That was another question Dave had.
Yeah, I was just going to, Shannon, go to marketing projects here and just kind of show that, like, these are, we provide grants to agencies to do various campaigns, and then Shannon shows them here so you can get ideas. So like here's Fairfax, Virginia, in ads in their buses, different campaigns that are run. This is Seattle, Washington. The billboards we talked about, the coffee sleeves that you saw in one of the slides, different ones. All these templates and all these ideas are available through Shannon. Here's our apparatus decals that we provide. This is the registered sticker that she had talked about, where you can actually affix them to the cabinets to let people know that it's registered. And there's various stickers. We do vehicle wraps. So these are just different campaigns that we assist you. Kevin's on the call. This is Olathe, Kansas. They did, this is a book kiosk in a library that we did a wrap for. So every opportunity to spread the word. We have short videos. This is a Medic One video with Chief Scroggins out of Seattle Fire. Challenge coins that we make available for your responders and your survivors for ceremonies, various ones. In Madison, Wisconsin, they did gas pump videos, so you can come in and see their videos. We can help with those. We talked about banners, for various community events. Again, these are all pre-done. We just add your logos and QR codes to banners across, a downtown street. This is between ladder trucks. LA County did a campaign, and they used 2 ladder trucks with this across. I think this was maybe part of a marathon or something. there's various ideas that we have funded and then made available to other agencies. So long answer there, Shannon, but I was trying to, pitch your good work.
I appreciate it. So that's it for the questions. And I actually already received a request for stickers while we were on the call. So keep them coming.
Okay, great. Kevin, thank you very much for hosting us and for the opportunity. Nan, for your technical support, and everybody who took some time to be with us this morning. Hopefully you found it valuable. We are here to help you, and reach out if you have any additional questions.
Well, thank you both. That was a great presentation as always. As a member of two agencies for two different counties within the last couple of weeks, I can advocate for the PulsePoint app working. It works for both our providers, whether they were at home or a nearby agency or a nearby location that this has taken place. But the numbers are, they're out there. He showed the numbers, and it's great to be able to have that interactivity within the community. So we appreciate the product. We appreciate the collaboration and the relationship we have with you all. And want to thank everybody for attending today. Again, the presentation will be uploaded into the handout section. If you have any questions, Richard left his email and his contact information. But again, have a great rest of the week, and we appreciate your attendance. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you, the IFC.
Thank you.